If the era of chaos is over, then I'll bring new chaos to take its place. I'll seize control of this country. The new Japan will become stronger under my leadership. That's the justice that will guide me in my noble cause!
What is up, guys? DT Ninja here to give you guys my RuroKen Hokkaido Arc Chapter 17 review and discussion. Okay, guys, it's been over a week, so here is Chapter 17. I wanted to do it, last week. I just didn't have the time. But anyways, we are going to look closer at some very interesting things in the Hokkaido Arc. So in Chapter 17, we get the battle between Kenshin and Byakuya. Yes, Byakuya and Kenshin have a battle. So we're going to get some action. We're going to get some interesting mysteries that have yet to been solved yet. So those are going to be in the discussion questions. So as always, I'm going to share part of my volumes as well as share some things that I noticed. And unfortunately, Chapter 17 is not part of Volume 3, so I cannot show you the actual, scans. But I do have color scans to illustrate, so you will see them while I'm talking. So anyways, okay, first thing in Chapter 17, Henya, the guy with the wings, he can fly, he flies up. And he uses the bombs, Henya of the Jupongatana. He is shown to be patrolling the area for, Kenshin's group. And, Nagakura, is like, thank you, you've been a great help to us. Your strength is very useful to us. So I like how they're showing, Henya's actually useful. And it's showing, he's actually using his, his abilities. He can, scout the area for them, and it's a precaution because of what happened with Kabato Prison, right? Kabato was attacked, so they want to make sure that nothing's going to happen, abruptly like that. But I like how they showed Henya. It was interesting. They showed him at the beginning. They showed Byakuya showing interest. He sees him, and he's like, oh, you're like a bat with smoke, and he's like, very interesting. So you get that, we haven't seen a lot of Henya, so that was interesting. But I like how he's being used, it's good that he's actually being useful. Because right now, Cho and Kamatari really haven't done much of anything, right? So it's kind of nice to see what, Henya's been doing. And yeah, he's very useful. So that was cool. Okay, Kenshin, the next thing I see, Kenshin is still concerned about Eiji. Now, in Chapter 16, we talked about this, how Kenshin is almost like a father figure to Eiji. And you see him like in deep, almost like in a trance. He's just thinking about Eiji's situation, and you see like this, it's like a collage of all of the emotions. And, Chris JP20, he colored this for me. By the way, he also colored part of the intro, so I really appreciate it. Really good artist, one of my close friends. So, yeah, anyways, I just want to give a shout out to him. But yeah, really cool. But it's also really sad because Kenshin is just, he's just so... He wanted to help out Eiji. He wanted to explain the situation to him, but, Saito and Nagakura are like, just let him be, let him make his decision. And here you get Saito, he's like, Kenshin, Himura, snap out of it. He's like, come to your senses. These guys, these aren't no pushovers, He's like, so you get that sense that Saito's really serious here, and Kenshin is kind of spacing out, and, he's like, if we're gonna get to them, we can't just, we have to take them on with everything that we have. We can't be spacing out, for example. But I like how Kenshin is really concerned about him, but it also gives that idea that maybe Eiji, something bad's going to happen. And I really hope that doesn't happen, but if it does, it would be an interesting twist. And we talked about that in the last review. Okay. Byakuya recognizes the remnants of the Jupongatana. So you got this scene, you got Kenshin, Saito, Nagakura, you got the Jupongatana, Cho, Kamatari, Henya. They're all together, and of course Sanosuke. You got them all together in one shot. And it's really cool. It's at the top, although Anji's there as well, and their heads kind of cut off, so it's not the greatest scan, but it is really cool to see because they're closer up. When we first saw all of them together, they were really small, right? When they showed the full picture, it was kind of cool, but at the same time, they're really small. So here you get this full shot of them up close, and Byakuya is just like with arms out. He's like, welcome to the land of despair, hope and despair. The same thing he always says to Saito. He's like, welcome to Hokkaido. So it's very interesting. And I also just found that interesting. Anyways. Okay, the next thing, Byakuya is rather cooperative. He's very cooperative on things because right now Saito and Kenshin are there to get questions out of him, right? And he's rather cooperative, and he's answering questions. He's like, I'll answer your questions, and then Sano's like, how can we trust this guy? And Byakuya's like, well, now my master is the leader of the Kinkaku Henke, and under her there are 7 generals, including myself. So he's like, whoa, okay, do you believe me now, fighter? So he's really willing to help them out, and it's very strange because he's the enemy, right? You would think that, especially, he's erratic, he's bizarre, he's definitely different than the other guys, the way he goes about, it's almost like he does things on his own. And that's why he's going to be reprimanded when he has to go back. And that's one of the reasons why they have this fight, is because he realizes that it could be a while before he goes back to battle, because he's going to be, he has to see his master, the leader of the Kinkaku Henke. So anyways, I found that interesting. Now, he's rather cooperative, and he says, I'll answer any of your questions, but while we are fighting. So this is very interesting. He's going to answer the questions while fighting. So he's like, okay, the Himura the Batosai, one of the greatest legendary swordsmen in history, I have to fight him. I want to fight him one-on-one. So this is where the fight happens. So this is where it happens. And it's like, Saito's like, what are you trying to do here? He's like, we're just asking questions, and he's trying to get satisfaction out of it. And the way that I see Byakuya, he really, like I said, he's cooperative, but the language that he understands is violence. And I kind of talked about this last time. I know violence isn't really a language, but that's kind of what he goes by. Everything. He fights, so we learn about his backstory in this chapter as well, so we're going to get to that in a little bit, but I found that interesting. Like I said, Byakuya reveals the ranks of the Kinkaku Henke to all of them. So now they know how many generals, and there's a master at the top, and it's a woman, by the way. It appears to be a woman, because we saw lipstick or something. Now, you know how Watsuki is, with Kamatari. So I'm not saying that it's a woman right now, but it appears to be a woman. So anyways, okay. Next thing, the interrogations of the questions that I said, they happen while fighting. So Saito handles that. So Kenshin and him start fighting. They just go right at it. They're going head to head. Saito's like, right away, he's like, where is the headquarters for Kinkaku Henke? And now this is crazy. Byakuya is like trying to avoid this situation. He's like, he's ready to punch Kenshin, and he's like, somewhere deep within the mountains. I'm like, Okay, Hokkaido is full of mountains. Like, that was like no help at all. So he's a little tricky when it comes to answering the questions. And, Sana's like, come on, it's like, we need more than that. But it was funny. Anyways, so the fight begins. It's really cool. So we got some nice action. The one thing I noticed when Byakuya first attacks Kenshin, right? Kenshin dodges him, but instead of just holding back, he just goes all out and smashes his hand into the ground. And I mean, if you're gonna attack, I mean, and you see him dodge, why would you smash him in? Why would you smash your hand into the ground? It's like, man, this guy has some serious power. And I noticed something else. There's like this ring on his wrist, and it's like, it's not like a guard or anything, but it's like free from everything. It's a ring, a wrist ring, and it's like dangling. And I noticed it while he punched it. And if you notice, when he drags it along the rocks when he comes out, it's almost like it's like added pressure or something. I don't know if there's like something with that or what, but I'm gonna get to that more in the discussion questions, because we've seen this more than once, but this is just one that I was like, oh, maybe there's something going on here. So I found that interesting and noteworthy. So anyways, okay, Byakuya is quite fast for his large build. He is very large, right? A large build. Kenshin is not large, right? He's very small. So, he's fast, but he doesn't have a large build. But Byakuya matches his speed, and this guy's huge. So I'm like, whoa, okay, that's interesting. And Kamatari and Sho are like, whoa, this guy's no joke. So, and then Anji's like, can Himura do it? And you see Himura like upside down on the water. He's like on this right where this moat is, and he's like upside down running along the water, and he's like talking to Sojiro, and he's like, in 10 stops, a Shikuchi, I think he can do it. So he's like comparing his speed, Kenshin's speed, to Sojiro. So I found that interesting as well. I don't think Sojiro was actually saying he's as fast as me. He's fast. We've seen it. His Shuten Satsu, I think, whatever his final attack is against Amakakura no Hirameki, they were the same speed. But normally, Sojiro's much faster. That's just how it's always been. But I found it interesting that Anji, realizes Kenshin is still that fast. So, really cool. Okay, the next thing. Byakuya cannot see Kenshin's fighting spirit. So, the fighting spirit, we're going to get to that in the discussion questions as well. This is what Byakuya usually sees with his bizarre nature. Like, he's the only one that can see a spirit of a fighter, of a warrior. And Kenshin doesn't have one. That's really strange, right? So, I noticed that, and we're going to get to that in the discussion questions. And Kenshin kind of thinks this guy is disturbed. He has this mentality where he actually thinks he sees something that's not there. So something is wrong with this guy, right? Anyways, okay, discussion question number 1. Where is Kinkaku Henke's hideout? The HQ. So this is Saito's interrogation. This is the first question he asked while Kenshin and Byakuya are fighting. Where is the hideout? Okay, so deep in the mountains. That doesn't really tell us much, right? But I will tell you this. In chapter 3, or in volume 3, there is a chapter 15, and it is revealed where the hideout is, okay? And this is the mountain right here. You can see there's some kind of smoke coming from it, so maybe it's a kind of a volcanic mountain. There's active volcanoes in Hokkaido, so that is interesting. It's definitely somewhere, probably in the center of Hokkaido. I just get the feeling that it's in the center, because we've been, further down, and Kabato Prison was a little further than that, and I feel that their headquarters is probably not too far from there, because, the other guys from Kabato Prison, they went there. but I just get a feeling it's probably in the center. But I did some research. And I wanted to find out if these mountains were matching this scan. So I went ahead and did a little, research on this. There are 4 type of mountains that I came up with. So in my discussion question, the first mountain, Mount Kuro, which is the Daisetsuzan National Park. Okay, it's a national park. It's got huge mountains. There's tons of them around. It's a national park, but this one is particularly one of the most interesting. It is an active volcano, and it kind of looks similar to that scan that I just showed you. So I'm going to match them up and show you guys. First, I'll show you the scan a little bit here, and then I'll show you the one that I just showed you next to it. So you guys can see, and you guys, you can decide for yourself if it is close. Okay, the next one, Mount Io, which is called Sulphur Mountain. Now, the little smoke could be, sulfur coming from it, so that's another possibility. But when I looked at the scan for this mountain, it doesn't really match the one that I just showed. So I'm a little skeptical on that one. I'm not so sure it's that one. The next one that I really have high hopes for is Mount Asahi. Yes, Asahi as in the character Asahi. Yes, Mount Asahi. This is also in Daisetsuzan National Park. So like I said, Daisetsuzan National Park, it has tons of mountains. Both Kurosan and Asahi, both of them are in this national park. Those are the 2 that I really think that could match the headquarters for Kinkaku Henke. And they're kind of in the middle of Hokkaido, so I'll give you guys a little map to give you guys an idea. But it's very interesting to think about because this one is the tallest mountain. Asahi is the tallest mountain in Hokkaido. So we got one of the tallest mountains, and Kurosan is one of the most active volcanoes, mountains in Hokkaido. So they're very prominent, and I feel that one of them could be it. I'm not saying it is, but it possibly could be. So I just wanted to share those scans with you guys. Like I said, Mount Asahi, Mount Kuro, Daisetsuzan National Park. I feel that could be where it is. Although it could be somewhere remote where nothing is. And that is my last mountain that I researched, and that is Mount Rishiri. And sometimes it's called Rishiri Fuji because it resembles Fuji. So I don't think it is because Fuji kind of has a, not a flattened surface. It's more pointed. And you guys saw the mountains there. They kind of look more flattened off rather than pointed. So, but anyways, Rishiri is on the coast of Hokkaido near the Sea of Japan. So it's more remote. It's by water. So I don't feel that's the one. But I just wanted to show the scan, and you guys can see the difference between the 2. So anyways, those are the mountains that I did some research on in Hokkaido. There's tons of mountains. But when I was looking, I used that as a reference from chapter 15 and 14 of Hokkaido's, of Kinkaku Henke's hideout, their headquarters. So anyways, those are my possibilities. Okay, let's move on to discussion question number 2. What is the secret behind Byakuya's strength? Okay, Now, as I mentioned, Byakuya is very fast, right, for his build. Well, there is a secret behind of his strength. I feel there's more than just he fought and trained every day. There's something else going on. Okay, so I found this very interesting. In chapter 17, you remember how I mentioned how he smashed the ground and there was this metal ring on his hand? You could actually see it when he smashed the ground. Well, I found this interesting. So I went back to chapter 2 when he was first introduced. This is volume 1, by the way. You see him standing there with all these swords. And this is where he's like, I detest weapons like this because they can't really tell your spirit. They don't really resonate with the spirit. So he's there, you see him there, and you can see it. It's right there. And then you can definitely see it here when they fire on him. Okay, look, they fire on him, and you see that ring around his arm right there, right, or his wrist. You can actually see it there. And what's interesting is he used his wrist to grab the bullet. So, like, literally, it's right next to him, and he grabs it, you know, he grabs the bullet, and that's when it shows the blood, and he licks it, and he's like, you know, I'm healed, you know? So I found that interesting that at the very beginning, it was always there. It's just, throughout the chapters, they've changed a little bit. So the next time we see it is in the battle with, yes, Saito. Okay, so when Saito does the Gatotsu on him, you can see he puts his hand out again. I mean, who puts his hand out when a sword's coming at you, right? That's pretty crazy. So I did some more research, okay, and look at this. He grabs it with his bare hands, and again, you can see it right there. There's this ring, but here it looks like there's some kind of guard with it. So it changes a little bit. So I found that interesting as well. So as we go, he does the Zero Gatotsu, right? But look where his hand is. Okay, so see how his hand is actually grasping the sword like this? Who grips a sword like this? And if you think about it, the power has to be coming from his wrist if he's holding the sword like this. You see how he's holding the sword? He's holding the sword at the very bottom of it. And that's how he breaks the bone of Byakuya. I'm sorry, of Saito. Okay, and then the next one, because I put where all of these times that you can clearly see it. He mentions that under his left arm or something, there was a hidden pressure coming from it when his blade snapped. So I went back, and here you can see it right there. That is his left arm, right? And then again, later when he's in jail, okay, you can see his arms are you know, they shackled him, but then when he attacks them, you know, he breaks them, again, and it's happened more than once, and it shows his hand again. You can see he's reaching out again, and then when he meets Kenshin, he does the same exact thing. So I found this very interesting. So remember, he was shackled, and then he broke them again to meet Kenshin. And then again, you can clearly see when he meets him, you can see it right there. So very interesting how it just shows it over and over again. But the big one was at the beginning, because you can clearly see the ring there. And then in chapter 17, this chapter, you see it again while he's fighting Kenshin, and it's right there. And it makes me wonder if that is giving him some kind of extra strength, like extra push. Is it like pushing, Kenshin back every time he attacks? You know, because if you think about it, if pressure is coming from his left hand, it's got to be coming from under where his coat is. But in the next chapter, he's going to throw off his coat. So it's definitely going to show that ring again. So this is going to be a repeated discussion question, but I found it interesting because in the next chapter, we're going to see Kenshin do an awesome technique. And Byakuya, I'm not going to spoil you, but Byakuya shows some serious power. But anyways, I found it very interesting that the wrist ring is there every time he attacks. Every time that he blocks something, it's like there, and it's almost like added pressure, added strength every time he uses his arm. So I found that interesting, and I think that it might be doing something. And like I said, in chapter 2, it was free. You could clearly see it's a wrist ring. But in chapter 6, when he's fighting Saito, it's almost like they wanted us to show that it's like a wrist protector or something, like some kind of wristband or something with it. It's almost like it's not there anymore, but it's still there. It's not his arm. So I found that interesting, but in this chapter, they showed it again. So I wanted to point that out. So, but anyways, in the next chapter, we're gonna talk about it as well. So yeah, that's a lot to say about that. But anyways, I found it interesting. Byakuya is definitely hiding something. He's got some upper, something up his sleeve, as Saito would say, literally up his sleeve. So, okay, next discussion question. What is the fighting spirit, and why does Byakuya see people this way? Kenshin's like, what is a fighting spirit? So Byakuya explains that he was very weak, and he wanted to die, so he went off and training on his own. It's almost like he was a survivor, kind of warrior type deal, and he just lived by himself, fighting people over and over again. It said he fought everything and anything that crossed his path. Farmers, gamblers, manslayers, pretty much everything. Pretty much anything that even, he came across. So he would fight and kill them. So it goes on and on about how disturbed this guy is. He just kept fighting. And every time he killed someone, apparently this ability just came into view. That is how it kind of is. The fighting spirit is basically how Byakuya sees people. If they are warriors, if they are strong, they fight, then he sees them as a strong or, spiritual animal. Okay, we've seen the wolf, okay, we've seen bats, we've seen demons, okay, so spiritual beings. If they are seen, if they're not strong, and they're, for example, police officer, just a simple police officer, they're seen as beasts, like pigs or horses. It's really strange, and there's no such thing as a fighting spirit. This is all in Byakuya's head. It's all like a hallucination. Saito is seen as a wolf, right? But it's interesting that Kenshin cannot be seen. So that's the next discussion question. Why is Kenshin not seen as with a fighting spirit? Why is he not seen? And that's interesting to talk about because in chapter 8, where they first meet, he clearly does not see him, right? He sees him, he sees the little demon in Eiji, he sees the wolf in Saito, so why doesn't he see Kenshin? Why doesn't he see him? I have an idea, but I'm not quite sure. My idea was that he hasn't killed anyone for a very long time. He hasn't had malice in his heart for a very long time. Okay, I mean betrayal type feelings. Or just like really, really bad feeling. It's been a while, right? So maybe that's why he can't see it, But I don't know, because Saito has the wolf. The little demon, obviously he's got some emotions, pent up. But Kenshin, he should have one, according to Byakuya. He is like a legendary figure, and he's wanted to fight him the whole time. So why doesn't he have one? Is he seriously just hallucinating? I have a feeling he's hallucinating. But why is Saito the wolf. I mean, that's pretty accurate, right? That's pretty accurate. The little demon, I mean, I'm not going to say that's agey, but it's very interesting how he sees others. I was thinking Kenshin would be a dragon. Okay, a dragon, because, you know, Ryu, Hiten Mitsurugi, Ryu, it is the style of the dragon. Every attack has the word dragon in it. So I figured he would be the dragon. That would make the most sense to me. So, but anyways, maybe Kenshin will be seen. We haven't seen him yet. But anyways, I'm not sure why we haven't seen it. But anyways, guys, that's been my review and discussion. I know it's kind of long, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, again, thank you, Chris JP20, for letting me use your color scans. Really awesome. Chapter 19, guys, is coming out in 2 days. 2 days from now, it will be released. I'll be working on the chapter. So look for the latest chapter in my on my page, and also DT Ninja 831 Facebook page. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. You can read this chapter in the link in the description or on my Google Drive. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one.